Thank you, Chair, and Director General Burgess, thank you very much for appearing and for your annual threat assessment, the speech given last week or recently. As always, it's a very sobering account of what we don't get to see in public very often. I was particularly taken that I think it's the first time, if my memory serves me right, that anti-Semitism featured in your threat assessment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. At least in your speech, you say threats are intersecting, boundaries are blurring. Am I right to understand that there is a blurring of religious, political and ideological motivations behind violence we're seeing?
I did say that. When I said that, I wasn't referring to anti-Semitism. That's a specific type of hatred that has festered in our country. What we are seeing, though, particularly in the minors cohort, where people are, but it's not just children, who are picking elements of belief systems and combining them. For youngsters, that typically means, though, they're not really in the ideology, they're caught up in the violence of it. For others, adults, it defies logic that someone can be both neo-Nazi and have some, Al-Qaeda. It just defies logic, but it is what it is, and it's what we're seeing in our society right now.
Thank you. But wouldn't you agree that the anti-Semitism that you noted is in some way joining up of religious, political and ideological factors?
Oh, I'm sure there's a combination. I think it's important to know that to be a Jew is to be part of a culture. It's not just a religion. Some people are Jews and not practising in the Jewish religion, so there is a broader thing there. Some people who are anti-Semitic are there for a wide range of reasons, not one specific one. It's not just a religious thing for some people. It's an ideological driven thing. You've got neo-Nazis and Islamists and a whole range of other people in between that are actually anti-Semitic.
Thank you for that. You also say in your speech, Jewish Australians were also increasingly conflated with the state of Israel, leading to an increase in anti-Semitic incidents. Director, I think this is a very important observation. The deliberate conflation of Israel and Zionism to target or have an issue with our Jewish Australians. It's being used as an excuse, isn't it, to intimidate and attack those Australian Jews, their schools, their temples, even their childcare centres?
It's a mistake, in my view, to conflate the state of Israel with a Jewish Australian. Of course, the reason why people undertake anti-Semitic acts could be because they're not liking what the Israeli government's doing and prosecuting the Hamas terrorist organisation, or it could just be they're anti-Semitic and they don't like Jews and it's got nothing to do with the state of Israel. So it is broad and complex. What's not acceptable is the hatred that is shown to that element of society and actually how that's playing out in our country right now.
Is there, in your mind, any way to break that nexus or things that your agency can do to either define one or the other, or find some way to break that conflation?
I wish I had the answer to that, and I think that's something that we all Australians need to press into and understand. Why is this happening, and what we could all do about it, or at least do our part to do something about it.
Because, as you said in your speech, terrorism is a subset of politically motivated violence, covers acts or threats intended to advance a political, religious or ideological cause through intimidation. And we've seen a lot of that, certainly, as you mentioned before, from the very early days post the October 7 massacre. Is it your opinion that actors, and I won't use a term any more descriptive than that, with an underlying political ideology, are using geopolitics as a cover, an excuse to undertake acts to destroy our social cohesion and that cohesion between one group of Australians, Jews and other parts of the population?
I think what's happened, or the 7th of October and everything else that follows, has given some anti-Semites an excuse. but not all of them. It's far more complicated than that.
Thank you. I'll leave it there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.